Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special guest, a homie from Vancouver and fellow Sunday Swagger athlete, I guess you could call us. I don't know if you want to go that far. Joey Coldcuts, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the channel.
I'm good, Nate. Thanks for having me on. Athlete might be a little bit of a stretch.
It's a bit of a stretch.
Same thing when we signed with Callaway. People were like, how does it feel to be a Callaway athlete? I was like, I don't know if that would be the term to use, so to speak. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, and even being signed with Callaway, it's like being the dumbest kid in school, but I'm just happy to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fun though. I'm glad to be on here. Thanks for having me, and congrats to you signing with Sunday Swagger. You kind of made a little thing for yourself just by covering us in the YouTube world.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's funny. I had no idea we were from the same spot until you were here at Christmas and you posted something on your story, and I was like, oh crap. And then, with Sunday Swagger and that all happening, we ended up getting connected. But yeah, you're from Vancouver originally, right?
Yeah, I was born in northern BC in Prince George, and I moved to Vancouver when I was really young. I lived there almost my entire life, and then I only moved out of there when I was like 25. I moved to Europe for 3 years. I lived in Switzerland, went to school there for hospitality, and then I moved back, lived in Whistler, which is awesome, which you got to go check out, for a few years. And then I came out to LA and was like November of 2016, and I've been here ever since. And that's kind of like where everything kind of started up. And I met Bob about a year and a half after that, and then the rest is history from there.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that. I want to start. So, growing up in Vancouver, were you playing sports? Were you doing anything relating to the content world, like what you're doing now? Like, what was kind of the start?
No, not really. I mean, I was big into hockey. Obviously, playing the part of a Canadian kid. I played hockey, was my life until I was like 21, 22. Then I kind of gave it up and figured it was time to go to school and pursue everything else. And to be honest, I wasn't really ever a big social media guy. I think I had when I moved to LA, I had like an Instagram account that had a few hundred followers or something like that. But I really wasn't into that world. You know what I mean? Like, I'd follow Barstool and a couple things here and there, but I wasn't really like immersed in it like I am now. I was, to be honest, I was completely different than I am now. I was like just working out tons, playing hockey all the time. I was a smart kid. I did well in school, but yeah, man, I was nothing like the Joey you see now. I mean, from my personality, I was, but I wasn't this kind of character, this persona that I am now. It's kind of really evolved over the last few years.
That's funny. What was the evolution? Like, what took you from what you're doing here to LA? And then we'll bridge into, obviously, like the total career change for you in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was working for Four Seasons in Whistler. Like I said, I worked there for 3 years. I got a promotion and I was eligible to get transferred, and I actually wanted to come out here. So I signed up to work at the Four Seasons Beverly Wilshire, which is right on Rodeo Drive. If you've ever watched the movie Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts, it's actually the hotel that's in the movie. So I went out in 2016. I transferred. I moved out here. Kind of was still in this, in the hospitality game, working my butt off and doing my thing. And then I met Bob through the hotel. And then when I met Bob, he was working there too as an overnight front desk agent. We hit it off right away. We became really, really close, best friends. And that's when, he was really into the whole social media stuff. So I started kind of paying attention, and then he started featuring me in videos, and things started kind of getting more and more amped up. And then eventually what ended up happening is he was like, you need to be a part of what we're doing. Like, if I'm posting you on my stories and everybody's laughing and stuff, and then they go and look at your Instagram account, you got nothing there that's relatable, it doesn't flow. So I eventually changed my Instagram handle to like Joey Coldcuts and started putting some more funny stuff. And then as he would tag me, and he grew, I would start to grow. And then the golf stuff started happening. And then honestly, it was just like a domino effect after that. Like, we really just started making it a thing that we always knew that we could do something special with this, because we felt we had that synergy, but we didn't have the connections, or we didn't know anybody. So we were just filming it from our iPhone. We had a shitty setup, and it was just stuff we were doing on the side while we were working together. And yeah, man, it all just kind of came full circle, and it's been awesome. I always did it to support Bob first and foremost because I knew that that was his dream. And he's honestly, I mean, anybody who knows him knows how funny he is and how great he is at what he does. So I was like, you gotta pursue this. This is what your calling is. But then I guess like at first I thought maybe I'd be like a manager for him or I'd be involved to some extent. But he just thinks that I'm the funniest guy ever, and he wanted me to be more involved. And I guess this is where we're at today. I mean, to be honest, Nate, like if you would have asked me like 10 years ago to like look into my future and say that I'd be making YouTube golf videos and like signing with Callaway and quitting my job and doing Instagram, I would have told you you're crazy. A, because I'm a bad golfer. B, because I wasn't really ever that social media guy. And it's just, I mean, I'm super blessed, and it's just been really cool to see like where this thing has gone. And I mean, I don't know what the next step is. I don't know where it's going to go, but I feel like sky's the limit right now, if I'm being honest.
I still think the goated BobDoesSports video is when he took you to that like really crappy municipal course in LA. That was the first video. Yeah, that's the first video I saw of you guys that like really caught my attention. Like I think I saw the foreplay thing when you guys collabed with them, and then I went back and saw that video, and that video is where just like both of you guys, I think it was like if you're looking at like story arc and character development, it's like where you two really shone the brightest, I think. And then from there it's just evolved, like both of you were just fully who you are, and it was so entertaining. Like I was honestly one of my favorite videos. But my question with starting it, like, do you like social media? It's very different than what you were doing.
I love it because it's something that I'm not used to, and I think I'm continuously developing and growing and getting better at it. There's still a ton of stuff that I need to learn and like, learn to harness. I mean, it's really helpful having someone like Bob, like be alongside you because, he's just kind of entrenched in it. He has been for a long time. But like, it's funny when we go on golf trips, like Bob and Jet and Perez and all these guys, they'll talk about like things from Barstool and like memes and stuff from social media. And I'm like the lost one. I have no idea what they're talking about half the time. I'm also considerably older than all of them. I turned 36 this year. Bob will turn 30 in March. So I'm like almost 7 years older than him. And then Perez is 33. So like Jed and Ticket Same are all 30. So I'm kind of like the older lost brother, kind of like not really like at the same level in terms of like my knowledge with social media, but I do enjoy it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's really enjoyable because now it's my job. So it's my responsibility to like get better at it. But I mean, dude, I get to golf and travel for work. So like, how can I ever, I've got the best life ever. I can't ever get upset with, learning how to be better at social media,
Totally. Yeah, I find it one of the things that's interesting about you, and one of the conversation pieces I was interested in personally is because like a lot of the time you see content creators get into it in their 20s, and it's like it has historically been something that comes when you're younger and then you kind of build it up. But like as careers on platforms like YouTube have evolved, and really people have realized that you can in fact build careers on there, you see people of all ages and from all walks of life getting into content. But like, I don't know, I feel like it's almost advantageous because the big problem when you get into content when you're younger is your brain isn't fully developed, so you're very susceptible to other people's opinions and comments and all the negative stuff that comes along with it. Like, how has that stuff, maybe not so much, it sounds like, affected you really being, maybe a little more mature and walk through life a bit more?
I mean, I think like the one thing that, Bob and I and Perez have always said is that like, we're never going to change how we act, who we are, because I think our biggest draw is like the relatability factor of like guys who just go out and love to golf with their boys and have fun. They can watch our stuff and it's totally relatable, and like they can see themselves when they watch our videos. So I don't think we're ever going to change. Also, too, I feel like I'm a little naive in terms of like this whole thing. So like I never act like I know what's going on or like I dictate things. I'm kind of just like taking it all in and just watching it all unfold. And I think to your point, I'm a little bit older, so I kind of, I am who I am now. I'm never going to change at this point. You know what I mean? Like for better or for worse, some might say. But I think it's just kind of like accepting like what your role is in terms of like how we've come to be. And I don't know, to answer your question, I just don't think I'll ever change. I don't think we'll ever change. I think that as soon as that happens, it's detrimental to the group and to like what we put out in terms of our golf content and like what people enjoy us doing. And I think that's kind of like the driving factor for us to just kind of keep in our own lane and not change. Plus, I think like we have good vibes, right? So like it's funny, like when the good and Micah and Grant things separated, everybody was like, there's a lot of, drama and stuff behind it. I mean, we played with both groups of guys and we're so close with all of them because we're just going to do our thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, we don't pick sides. We don't have favorites. We just like playing with different guys, going out there, having fun, and making cool videos. And I think it's worked out really well for us, to be honest.
It definitely has. And I definitely have my, theories and thoughts as to why it works so well for you guys. But I'd love to hear it. Like, what do you describe as your value prop of Bob Does Sports, and why do you think it's taken off the way it has?
It's a good question. I just think, again, it goes back to like us just being us, man. And I think it's like, as people watch our channel, like the first time you watch it, I mean, you watch the Links to Victoria video, right? Like, when you watch and you get to know us and our personalities and our traits, everybody has a favorite guy or somebody that they root for, maybe more than others. I mean, it's really hard when you're in the same group as a guy like Perez, who's like a fan favorite, or Bob, who's just like the most positive guy in the world and like everybody loves. So it's kind of hard, but like I think because we all stay true to who we are, it kind of brings a different element to the channel and people enjoy watching it. It's almost like a sitcom, like when you watch it, and it's nothing staged. It's just us going out and doing our own thing. And I think, again, like I said, the relatability factor really plays into like people can associate with what we do. I mean, you watch some of these guys like Garrett and Grant and Micah. I mean, when I go in golf, it's like, when I play with them, it's like, man, these guys are so good. And like the crazy thing is, you read statistics like 70% of golfers will never break 100 and like this and that. So you feel like, okay, I shoot in the 80s. Sometimes I shoot in the 90s. I'm an above average golfer. Then when you play with these guys, it's like, oh my God, I stink. You know what I mean? But I think the thing is like when people watch them, sometimes it's like they can't see them picking out shots or cutting it or doing some of the things that they do. And it's like, well, this is really cool, but I just would never be able to do that. When they watch me duff a chip from 60 yards out or skull it over the green, like people are like, oh, I remember when my boy did that, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I think there's like a lot of relatable aspects of when we play, and I think people enjoy it. And I do think people actually enjoy, as bad as it sounds, watching us play bad. You know what I mean? Although I do think people root for us to do well, but I don't know, man. I think it's just that relatable factor and just us being just average guys out there doing our thing and having fun. It just makes us likable. I at least I think so.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, if people only wanted to see great golf, they would only watch the PGA Tour, and YouTube golf wouldn't be a thing. Like, people don't need to come to YouTube to watch amazing golf. They come to YouTube to connect with people and to build communities and whatever. And like, you guys, I think, have fostered that better than anyone. Like, of all my friends that I golf with, you guys are by far the most recognizable of any of them. Like, and whenever I say I make YouTube videos, oh, I started a golf channel, it's always Bob Does Sports. It's crazy because like Good's huge, Rick Shiels, they're huge, but like you guys have, I think, more of a cult following growing than I think any other brand, and that can only be built from personality. Like, that is a personality first thing. That's people seeing themselves in you. That's you guys really fostering an environment where people feel comfortable with you. And I'm sure you've seen that Waste Management, man. You guys had some crazy stories there, right?
Yeah, it was really cool to see. It's really cool always to see like just people come up and show love. And like, I think sometimes people are like worried to like kind of come up to us and ask us for a photo or whatever. But like, man, we appreciate it so much because without the people's support, we're never going to be here where we are. And to your point, I think like when we first started out the channel, before Perez was ever in the picture, before any of this stuff ever came to fruition, like we wanted to kind of cover a different angle of golf, like more of a comedic side of golf that people could enjoy. So that's why when we started with the challenges, it was like our way of like creating fun, different things that like someone who necessarily isn't a huge golf analyst or like enthusiast could watch and just enjoy, so like us chugging 9 beers in 9 holes each and like trying to break a score of whatever it may be, or the hot dogs or the fireball, all that stuff. It was kind of like our way of trying to establish like a more comedic golf channel, which I think we did very well. And then we were fortunate enough to like stumble across Perez, and then he just brings the legitimacy to our channel in the sense that he's such a good golfer. It brings that element to our channel that people love to enjoy. And now when we play golfers like Keegan or Max, or we have a match coming up against Bo Hostler, and these guys, like, people love watching Perez because he's such a competitor and he goes, neck to neck with these guys. So I think it's made the channel so much better. But yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild to see like where we were. I went for dinner last night with my girlfriend and for Valentine's Day. I went to my old restaurant, and I haven't even been gone from the restaurant for a year. Like my last day was at the end of April last year. And it's like I was sitting there and I was like, man, in the course of 10 months, like my life is drastically different. So it's really cool. We really appreciate like the love and support that we have from all of our fans. And we have the best fans in the world, man. Like if you go on our channel, you watch a video, like you scroll through the comments, you'll read like, I mean, aside from like Joey's a hack or this is a Bob needs to learn how to putt or whatever it might be. But like I'd say like 80 to 90% of the comments are all just like positive, like just full of love. And like, it's like that. I don't think that's normal because I go on other channels and it's like, I don't see that. So we're really fortunate to have such great guys who support us and like us. And I mean, it's been really, really cool to see. We had a BobDoesSports chant start out on the 16th hole at Waste Management. And it was just like, those moments are really, really amazing because it's just you take it in and it's like, we remember when we were just trying to make a name for ourselves, and it's crazy. And I think there's room for everybody. I think everybody's growing. I think the whole platform is evolving and developing and getting bigger. And I kind of hope that one day that there's somebody with a lot of money who wants to get like a ton of us all together and set up like a YouTube tour or something along those lines, because I think it could take off even more than what it has now. It's nuts, man.
Mm-hmm. It's cool, man, and we're gonna get into the explosion of YouTube golf. But yeah, I mean, I feel it, dude, and like the positivity too is so cool. Like I was so nervous to post my first on-course video because like I started making commentary stuff, and like I don't know, I was just like nervous of the feedback and whatever. But like I got more comments on that first video than like most of my commentary videos, and they were all positive. Like every single one of them it was crazy. I replied to like 293 comments in a day, and it was just like I spent 4 hours doing it, but it was just like it was crazy, man. I couldn't believe it, and I've said thank you to everyone watching so many times because it really does blow you away, dude. It blows you away.
It's a good feeling, no?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's cool to watch a video that you're in hit 1 million views, or it's cool to see that it's
yet,
like
but...
I mean, yeah, give it time. And you know what? There will be some negative comments, right? You're
yeah,
gonna get
for sure,
some,
for sure.
And it's like, it is what it is. That comes with the territory. But like, at the end of the day, it's really cool just to see the community of people who are all doing the same thing. And like, if you tell us, like, I'd say like almost, if it's Busta Jack or Micah, Grant, Good, Rick, like we all have mad respect for what we do because the time and effort and like what goes into it, and I give the biggest props to our guys, Jet and Ticket, because, we go out there, we film the video and it's done. Our job is done. They're starting, they're editing, they're adding this, they're doing thumbnails, you know what I mean? So like spending so much time, but yeah, man, it's so cool to see. And just my advice to you, just keep going, man. Just keep posting stuff because people are like craving. People are craving, the golf videos. They're craving content. We'll put out a video and people go, we need to put 2-3 videos a week. Like people want to.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love them more than anything. I've been passionate about it for a long time. But you making that jump, I want to touch on that real quick. How scary was that last April when you quit your job at, however, 36 years old? You've had this career you've been working at for probably at that point like near 16 years, somewhere in that realm. Like, that must have been scary.
It was a little bit scary. I mean, the goal was always to get me to be able to do this full time with Bob. That was always his goal, was to get me out of the industry and be able to go full time with him. So it was something I wanted for sure. But I mean, it's just when you're first doing it, now we're blessed enough to have big sponsors that help us out, through Callaway and DraftKings and Corona, and I mean, that's it's life changing to have those. But at the time, I really didn't have that yet. I was just kind of venturing out, and even explaining it to my parents. My dad's old school Italian guy. He doesn't know YouTube videos, man. So when I tell him I'm making videos and he's watching me eating hot dogs in the video, and this is he's like, "What are you doing?" So yeah, you have to. You kind of have to just have faith in what you're doing and believe in what we have. And I always think since day one, Bob and I, we always believed that what we had would be successful. And, we always hoped, we didn't know, but we always hoped that we would just get an opportunity to do our thing and be able to make this a full-time gig. So when I had the opportunity, I said, you know what, worst case scenario, I left my job. That job's always going to be there at the end of the day. If this doesn't pan out, or for whatever reason, in a year from now, it's not the answer, I can always go back to that world. You know what I mean? But I think it's very rare in life that you have an opportunity to kind of really pursue your dreams and be able to actually do what it is that you love. And for the first time I can say I really enjoyed working in the hotel industry and the restaurant industry, but I love what I do, man. It's hard not to. I have the coolest job. I get to travel. I get to golf. I get to meet. We're playing with Johnny Manziel, in a twilight round at Quintero in Scottsdale, and then going the next day to the Waste Management. We're so blessed, you know what I mean? So knowing that I had that as the one option, and the other option might be down here, it's I have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Because if it doesn't pan out, you know what? I just go back to what I'm doing right now, and thank God. And that it's turned into what it has. And now it's just a matter of let's just keep pushing forward. And how do we get bigger? And how do we get better? And how do we continue to make good content that people can enjoy? Because at the end of the day, now that's our job, is to entertain people. So there's always an up and up.
That's awesome, man. That's a cool story, because I feel like a lot of the time people my age and younger, it's easier to make those jumps, and it's easier to take those risks, because you haven't been doing anything for a long time. You haven't said no to anything. But I get messages from guys who are older who want to start in content world and stuff like that. I'm sure you do too. And the fear just gets bigger and bigger and bigger the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more pressure you put on yourself to be at a certain place in life. So the fact that you can tell this story from your perspective, that you chased a dream and you went for it, and you moved out of this thing you've been doing for so long, I think that's going to inspire a lot of people, man. I'm sure it already has. That's
I hope it does. Everybody I talk to, I tell them, if there's something that you really want to do in life, just go for it. Because you miss, it sounds cliche, but you do miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And you know what? If I'm going to bet on anyone, why not bet on myself, right? I know what I'm capable of, and I felt that it was the right time, and I held out for a long time. Bob left the hotel probably almost 2 years prior to me finally leaving the restaurant, and I just wasn't ready at that moment. I knew from a financial standpoint, from other factors, it just wasn't the right time. And then I got a manager. I talked to him. I felt like he was going to get me to the right position, and I felt okay, I got a manager, I got a lawyer now. These guys are going to help me, because I really didn't know the industry. And it's now I feel like it's the right time to make this jump. And, that's why I say to you, just keep filming and doing what you like. Even just from your standpoint, just covering us idiots, you know what I mean? You've been able to get a sponsorship and make a channel for yourself and stuff. So it just goes to show, if there's something that you're passionate about, I couldn't stress enough, just go for it. Because the worst case scenario is it doesn't pan out. You end up doing what you have to do anyways. And that's what everyone else is doing,
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. Talk to me about the explosion you felt behind this YouTube golf thing, because you've been in and out of it, and then in it, and then now really in it for a long time. And you're right in saying that, dude, there is 100% going to be a YouTube golf tour one day, and it's 100% going to be bigger than Live Golf. It's not going to be bigger than PGA, but it's going to be bigger than Live Golf. It's going to be probably the second biggest golf tour in the world next to the PGA, because why else would Callaway be signing you guys in Good? Why else would TaylorMade be signing Grant and Micah? You guys, this industry we're in, we're the needle movers now in the golf world, way more than professional golfers, which is crazy to say, but it's 100% the truth. Obviously, there's the elite of the elite, the Tigers, the Royals, they'll always be bigger. But for what we're doing and the level that we have to be at to do what we do, like we're just average golfers. Like it's crazy. So talk to me about how that has felt, feeling all that momentum behind you.
I feel like this is honestly, I feel like this is just like the start. I really feel like there's a big boom that's about to happen. And I feel like I don't know what necessarily that is. I do think like seeing companies like TaylorMade and seeing like Callaway and these other companies that are going out and signing, you know, guys who golf for fun with their friends on YouTube is like mind numbing. But then when you go, and I met our Callaway rep, he's the best guy ever, Australian dude, and he's such a good guy. And I was talking to him, I was like, listen, I'm kind of worried, hitting the clubs. The clubs are so nice, but my game and my swing is not great, that it's going to be a bad reflection on the clubs. And they're like, you know what? We know we know what you guys are going to do, but the amount of eyes that are on you guys and the amount of views that you guys can generate, it's so beneficial for us to be working with guys like you, and it's going to help in turn sell a lot of clubs. So I think that this thing is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's a lot of people who there's like the older generation really doesn't even know about YouTube golf, right? And I don't know. I mean, it was really cool this last week when we were at the Waste Management, we're in Scottsdale and stuff, and we started getting people sending us clips. They were commentating on the golf, and one of the commentators was talking about Keegan Bradley and said, Keegan was just on an episode of BobDoesSports. It was a hilarious episode, and like I think that the more that becomes a normality and people start to associate that, and like that's our goal, is to continue to play with more and more PGA pros and show like a different side of them and like what they're like in an element when they're just golfing with their friends, because people want to see that. The more that continues to grow and people start to get synonymous with that, I think this thing could take off to exponential levels, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know what the next stage is for it, but I know there's like a cult like following for YouTube golf, and like the fact that you're doing what you're doing and people are like, dying to hear more news out of what's happening. We pay attention to it too. We see it come up from time to time. I mean, like, well, like Jet is the most intrinsically like following all this stuff. So we'll be like in a group chat and we'll just get a video pop up from the Jet. And it's like Nate Edwardson discusses this and good with BobDoesSports, or or there's the Divot dudes. I think they're good guys. I think Bob did an interview with them. So we'll have that, or there's like the top 10 shots of the week, and we'll like joke amongst ourselves because we don't play that well often. I mean, aside from Perez, when we make a good shot, we're like, oh man, I wonder if we're going to be on the top 10 of the week. You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of funny because like we're starting to grow in that movement too. And we're like, it's kind of enjoyable once you follow it a little bit, So I don't know, man. I think there's just going to be a continued rise. And I think that like, I don't know if it ends up being like, one day we'll end up working with the PGA Tour, and that's how. Yeah, I think at this point anything's on the table. Anything could potentially happen, and I think that once you see something like that happens, it's just going to continue to skyrocket. It's really exciting to be, it's super exciting when you're in this field and you see that the level of, after the pandemic, the level of interest in golf that's just shot up so high, and then the level of interest in YouTube, because of that as well, went up. It just was like a perfect storm for when we got into the game. It's been really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's definitely a tidal wave. And like, I mean, I've experimented with talking about some PGA stuff and covering that here and there. And like, there is minimum 30 times more interest in golf YouTube conversations than PGA conversations on the platform of YouTube. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, people care so much more, and you literally by metrics, you can look at the videos and they just do so much better if I'm talking about YouTube golf than if I'm talking about PGA golf, which is hilarious. But it's eye-opening too, and it's like motivating, because it's like, my ultimate goal is like, I love the conversation style stuff, but I'm also a huge golfer, and I want to bring that content in too. And like, just seeing the ceiling and how it just keeps rising in this YouTube golf world, it's like 100% all in, let's go, like, keep working, because it's like, there's no cap to it, and it's super exciting. But speaking of no cap, BobDoesSports, obviously no cap. You guys are exploding. What is next on the horizon for you guys? What is coming up? Is there anything? I mean, there's already been so much new this year that it feels like maybe you're just going to chill for a bit, but I doubt that's the case.
Well, we have a big big collab coming with Good, which I think is going to really, I mean, a lot of people have wanted this for a while. And we met them. I mean, I've known Garrett and I've known Grant because we played with them on a couple different occasions, but I had never met the rest of the gang, like Bobby, Matt, Luke Juan, all those guys. So we met them at the Callaway unveiling when, they did the whole release of the Paradigm and everything like that. We met them. We did a podcast with them on our channel. There's a podcast that we did with theirs that's going to come out on theirs. And then we said, we got to do something. You know what I mean? We did that little par 3. I mean, the weather was terrible. It was awful. It was wet. It was raining for like days. But we're like, we got to get something out. So we did that video, and seeing the response that people had to like wanting us to collab with them really kind of is like, okay, this has to happen. We got to do this. So we're going to do a full week with them next month in end of March. And that's going to be really cool. And then there's talks, and Bob's been talking with Rick Shiels about us going to the UK in the summer and doing like a full thing with Rick. And now it's not been like confirmed yet, so it could fall through, but it looks pretty promising. He really wants to make it happen, and we'd love to do it. Just to be super incredible experience. Go to Ireland and golf all through Ireland or Scotland, and do a whole thing with him for a week in summertime. So we got those 2 things up on the horizon. The good one is already confirmed. That's going to happen. The Rick Shiels one, we'll see what happens, but that is the discussions, and would be super exciting for us. I think it's more so like the exposure of working with like a couple massive channels like that. I mean, Good's over 1 million followers. Rick's got like 2.5 million. Seeing Good when they did the whole thing with Rick this past year and how that helped catapult them up, it was really cool to see, because it's just really neat to see a collaboration between 2 massive channels like that, and then to see the cross exposure and the growth. So hopefully, I would like to think that like for BobDoesSports, a lot of people come and watch our videos and be like, oh, we're shocked that you guys don't have more subscribers or this and that. I think that doing a couple big collabs like this will really, really help skyrocket the following, and the subscribers will really hit a next level. So super excited for that. Obviously, we got Callaway now, working with them. Hopefully that'll open some doors to getting some pros that we can work with. And it's an everyday thing. It's just like, who can we get on next? How can we make another good video? What can we do? What challenge can we do next? But yeah, I mean, those are 2 massive things that hopefully come to fruition and can really help us take this next step this year. I think would really, really be cool to see.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to have the connection now and hopefully be able to collaborate a bit in the future. And it's great chatting with you today, and I appreciate you coming on, and wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
I appreciate being on here and talking to you. When I come down to Vancouver, we have to golf.
Absolutely.
I'll take you out to a couple of good spots. I'll show you the ropes a little bit. Just don't beat me too bad.
All right, sounds good. I'll try. Thanks, buddy. Good seeing you.
Thanks so much, Nate. You take care, man.